Successful people are in a process. Losers are just busy. Procrastination, perfectionism, busy work, scrolling, self-doubt, fake research. Because protections means that you're never going to have your work out there, you're never going to finish, and you're always going to live in frustration. That's why you have to beat resistance. Wow, they're so productive. No, they're not. They're losers. The voice in your head is not you. It is just an accumulation of the things and opinions that you've had throughout your whole life. It is always speaking. Where your fear is, there is your task. That is why you must reverse this resistance. The amateur listens, the professional acts anyway. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Welcome back to another lecture. Today we're going to be talking about the inner adversary. What is this? So I'm going to use a term from Steven Pressfield's book called resistance. The more important the work, the more resistance you're going to find. Let me tell you why importance triggers it. Resistance is proportional to the soul evolution the work requires of you. It exists specifically to stop you from becoming who you are meant to be. Use it backward. Wherever it screams loudest, that is the direction you must walk. Resistance is a compass pointing away from your destiny. Reverse the needle. The important thing you need to know about resistance is that resistance uses disguises. Some of those disguises are procrastination, perfectionism, busy work, scrolling, self-doubt, fake research. All of this is to avoid failure. And one little phrase that I like to use for busy work, because I know many people like this. Successful people are in a process. Losers are just busy. These are all excuses to not take the leap, not go ahead and do the work. The voice wants to protect you, but in reality, it will keep you frustrated for life. Because protections means that you're never going to have your work out there, you're never going to finish, and you're always going to live in frustration. That's why you have to beat resistance. The ego in this case is indeed the enemy, like Ryan Holiday says in his book. It's different from healthy confidence. An unhealthy ego protects you from everything, and this protection leads you to live frustrated for the entirety of your life, which is what I said. The healthy ego is drive. It pushes you to grow because the ego already has the plan. It's just that when it becomes unhealthy, the direction changes. The healthy ego looks at the plan and says, let's use this drive to go ahead and start working on the things that are going to get us there. The unhealthy ego says, if you try that, then it is going to make us look bad because we're going to look like losers if we fail. So it always looks at the end result and doesn't value the steps. So it says, we're going to look like an idiot if we try that and fail. So you never get to step 2. And you just repeat this pattern. And then what the ego does is that it starts surrounding itself with research, busyness, all these things. That's why people love to say, oh, I'm busy, because it makes it look like they're actually doing something, but they're all losers doing random things so that people leave them alone. Because who's going to say, that's what our society teaches us, a workaholic. And we look at them and they're like running around all the way. They're like, wow, they're so productive. No, they're not. They're losers. Actually get to doing the real work. The inner roommate. This is a term that I love the most about this class specifically. The voice in your head is not you. It is just an accumulation of the things and opinions that you've had throughout your whole life. It is always speaking. Unless you nurture it to say good things, it is better to not listen to it. There's a phrase that I like a lot by Diane von Furstenberg. Sorry if I'm butchering that. I don't know how to pronounce that. But you're always with yourself, so you might as well enjoy the company. Make sure that it is good company. The mind is a receiver, not a creator. This is where we're going to get very spiritual. There are many voices that are not yours. Learn to discern the frequency. What do I mean by this? Everybody has a standard frequency inside themselves. When you start receiving certain thoughts, they come at different frequencies. Have you ever realized that sometimes you feel very peaceful and then some sort of thought or phrase comes into your head and you immediately feel different, whether it be anger, ego? That's because those are frequencies. They're different. You have to discern which ones are the ones that keep you at peace and keep you in check. Those are the ones that you should listen to. gotta feel, don't think about it. You gotta feel them and say, do I feel correct when I think about this? If not, toss it away. Don't pay any attention to it. Naming this voice strips its power. Once the observer is active, once you realize that that voice that just talked isn't you, when you look at it and go, why did I say that? It is over. That's the extent of its power. It is minuscule. A phrase by Carl Jung: where your fear is, there is your task. That is why you must reverse this resistance. Because if it says something and that makes you afraid, and then you listen to your ego because, well, I don't want to feel bad, so I'm going to listen to the voice and I'm not going to do it. In reality, that fear is what has prevented you from reaching your wildest dreams. You have to walk and actually brace, because where your fear is, there lies your task. Now getting to more Pressfield terms in Turning Pro, in his book Turning Pro. The amateur listens, the professional acts anyway. The amateur waits for inspiration, takes failure personally, treats the craft as a hobby. The professional shows up regardless of mood, treats the work as a job, has discipline and patience. The shift from amateur to professional is the most important transition in a life. Sitting with the voice without obeying it. Now I'll use my own example, which is, whenever I was writing, literally when I was in the book, I was always thinking, well, I mean, if I'm writing this book, I have to listen because I can't be too much polarity on this side. I have to tailor my characters because people are not going to like them. And then at one point I said, if I want to create the book of my dreams, I just have to stop listening to it. So every time I listened to it, I just did it anyways. And then it stopped talking because it can't step into the action itself. A little closing message. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step and can only be stopped by a negative thought. Through all the noise, outside and inside, the sad truth remains. The only person who can stop you from taking that step is yourself. Thank you.